In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create your own AI agent using Claude's computer use. But first, let me quickly and simply define what an AI agent even is. An AI agent is an AI that can perform a task. Currently, AIs are great at generating content, but they can't actually take any action. Another important factor is that AI agents must communicate using natural language. You don't have to be technically proficient or know how to code in order to use one. In short, you tell your computer to do something in simple language and it does it. And that's it. But before I show you how to set it up and use it, let me share a few warnings. First, this feature is in beta. In fact, it's not even that great right now. It's very buggy and makes a lot of errors. You will also run into timeout issues due to limited use restrictions. Also, if you want to use it regularly, it can be costly. The feature takes screenshots of your screen as it goes along, and that eats up a lot of tokens. However, this is the first actual AI agent that a major AI company has put out, and it's a glimpse into the future of work. Also, its current version is the worst it's ever going to be, the least powerful it will ever be. It will only get better from what you see here. And one last thing before we start. I want to go over a few key terms so that we are all on the same page. The first term is Docker. Docker is a contained environment where we will run this. Instead of giving a Claude computer use full access to our computer, we are going to run it in a safe, contained environment. API. An API is basically a puzzle piece that connects two different apps so that they can work together. For example, we will run this in Docker, but it needs to use Claude's AI. The API will allow them to communicate with each other and work together. API key. An API key is basically a password for the API to work. It's important to note that you should not share this with anyone. The last term, GitHub repo. GitHub is a website for sharing code, and they share their code in repositories or repos. To run computer use in Docker, we will need to gather a snippet of some code from a GitHub repo in order to make it work. But don't worry, I'm going to make this simple and straightforward so that everyday non-technical people can understand and implement this. Okay, now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's jump straight in and see how to set it up. The first step is to navigate to docker.com. Then install the app. Make sure that you choose the appropriate download for your computer. The next step is to go to the GitHub repo. This is the link which I will leave in the description. If you scroll down, there are some instructions on how to use this. You will also see that there are several ways to run this with the Anthropic API, through Bedrock, through Vertex. What we're going to do is use the Anthropic API. That is the most straightforward, non-technical approach, the one that I am able to use and that I am sure you will be able to use as well. What you have to do is you have to copy this code right here. Now, you don't need this first line. What you do need is Docker all the way until the end. Copy. And this is the most complicated part of the process. Now you see how these all have separate lines between them. I'm going to go ahead and paste it into the URL so that it can be flat. And by flat, I mean no lines in between. I'm going to navigate to a blank document and paste the code so far. Now, one other thing, and you may be more technically proficient than I am and know how to code a little bit, but one problem that caused me some issues were these forward slashes. I believe it's just to note that there is a line break in between each of these, which when I ran the code, it did not work, so I took those out. If you know why that is, leave in the comments below. I don't know why that is important. I just know that's the issue that I was facing, and this is what worked for me. So take out those forward slashes and be mindful not to delete more than you have to so that you don't encounter any issues. Just one slash and one space. The next step is to go to Claude's website. Specifically, we're going to go to console.anthropic.com. Navigate to Get API Keys. Now, I have one API key set up here, which is what I will use today. If you don't have one, you have to create key, select your workspace, default, and name your key. It will then provide you a key which you will need to copy. Once you have the key, navigate to your document where you have the code copied so far, and you will see in the first line it has the $ Anthropic API key. You're going to copy from the $ to the Y, nothing more, nothing less. You're going to delete that and paste your actual API key. One thing that's still missing is actual money in this. So what you will need to do is go to billing and add your credit card so that you can be billed for your API use. You can also go to limits where you have your spend limits. So I believe the smallest amount is 15. One thing very important to note, on this page, it shows your actual rate limit. So this is how much that you can actually use the API key. You'll see that the models are right here and the requests per minute are here. You will have 50 requests per minute. However, you will have 40,000 tokens per minute. And the screenshots eat up a lot of tokens. So you really only get a handful of requests each minute using the API. So you have your code, you have your API key pasted into here. Now you have to open up Docker. And this is what Docker will look like when you first log into it. To run the code, you have to go all the way down here to terminal. And I believe that when you first install it, you have to hit an enable button for this to work. Next, go and copy all of the code. And remember, this should have your actual API key here. I'm just not displaying mine for privacy, but you will copy this code. Once you have your code, paste it into the terminal and hit enter. Once it runs successfully, you will see this message. Computer use demo is ready. Open up localhost in your browser to begin. Click on the link. When you click on that link, this is what will open. On the left-hand side, you have your dashboard where you can type in your commands here. On the right-hand side is your container where you will see it actually working. For this, I gave it a pretty straightforward command. Here's my prompt. Open Firefox, search for the top companies by market cap today, then transcribe the top 10 companies into a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet should have the company name and market cap in 2 separate columns, and it should be displayed in order of greatest market cap to lowest. I'm going to hit send, and you see at this point, I am not touching my mouse. I am not touching the keyboard. I am not doing anything. It's simply running on its own, and you see how it's taking screenshots as it goes. It opened up Firefox by itself, and we'll see what it does next. As I mentioned, it can be quite buggy, but there it performed its search. Largest companies by market cap in 2024. It's now clicking on the first link. And remember, you can look at my hands right here. I'm not doing anything. I did all of this just with a prompt. It might come into an error right here. Let's see. Okay. It hit skip. It's creating company name, market cap, and it's putting those in rows, not columns. It looks a little buggy right here. Yeah, see. Oh, rate limit error. My rate has been limited. I'm telling it to continue, and we will see what happens. I'm not sure if it will stop here, if it thinks that it's done, or if it's going to organize them into 2 columns, as I did ask. Let's see. Oh, it's saving the document. I'm gonna stop there, but I hope you can see how easy it is to create your very own AI agent. Now, before I finish, I do want to share some thoughts. The purpose of this video is not to do an in-depth exploration onto ethics and implications, but obviously a few thoughts are raised by this. First, and this is very important to understand, this is the worst and least powerful it's ever going to be. This technology is only going to improve. In the future, rate limits will decrease. Bugs will go away. The agent will become more dependable and more capable. Now, I think the idea of an AI agent is very powerful. I think this will be most beneficial to entrepreneurs and small business owners that can really set up their own team of AI agents that are capable of handling many tasks. However, I think the most concerning thing about this is the implication for jobs in general and their potential displacement by AI agents. I personally think, though, that this technology isn't going to replace everybody's job. I think this is going to change the function of most people's jobs. We still need, as they say, a human in the loop to make sure that the AI stays on task and doesn't go rogue. So many roles will transition into more supervisory roles, where you will focus more on higher purpose tasks such as vision and goal setting. Then you can delegate the actual minute tasks that you don't like, such as editing spreadsheets or creating presentations, which does lead to another important risk: skill atrophy. You've heard the phrase before, use it or lose it. With AI, and especially AI agents, if you delegate everything that you typically do, you'll forget how to do anything at all. This allows us to be lazy and highly dependent on the AI. In my opinion, I don't believe you should outsource any tasks or skills that you want to keep or maintain. For example, if you actually do like making spreadsheets, keep making them. If there's something you do like about your job, keep that skill alive. I think the power comes from delegating those mundane tasks that you don't want to bother with, or being able to perform tasks that you typically wouldn't be able to do. I think AI and AI agents should be seen more as a co-pilot, and you remain in charge as the pilot. But that's enough of my thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions, leave them below. Also, tell me, are you excited or concerned about this technology? And if you've made it this far, please consider giving a like and subscribing.